The Shield, Avatar, Baghdad Cafe, a ticker-tape length of film and television roles in your quiver, I would say. But where does Home Again sit in terms of social and political relevance in this catalogue?
Interesting. You know, along the way, you get great films, good scripts, or work. And that's really important. I'm an actor, and I take work according to the script for the most part. But as I've grown older, I have become fascinated by my own region, which has a dearth of films, and that is the Caribbean. This is my 4th Caribbean film, independent. I've done one for Guadeloupe, one for the Bahamas, this one for Trinidad/Jamaica. And I think I've sort of spread the word that I'm interested in stories from this area, and as long as the scripts have merit, I'll be happy to be on board.
Given that an enormous number of deportees have grown up within the Caribbean diaspora, and increasingly on their return, there is a link between the volume of some of the most heinous crimes as far as Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and indeed St. Vincent the Grenadines, affecting to a great extent the innocent. I wondered if you had a view on the issue of deportation in this context.
How I understood it is that for a deportee, when they arrive back at those certain islands, there's so much resentment for the idea that they blew something, that so many of us who are here and we want to get there, and you were there and you messed up. And I think they treat them as if they're the scum of the earth because you messed up. And so many of us want this opportunity. The island is in a way an old world place. Different rules, different laws, unspoken. And you arrive and you're clueless. So it would be like me, you know, getting into a cab in New York and going, you know, take me to Brooklyn. And the man hears my accent and therefore drives me through Manhattan, through Queens, through, you know, the Bronx, and then perhaps Brooklyn. And, you know, your entire pocketbook later, say, you're in Brooklyn. And it was just a 10-minute cab ride over a bridge.
I think I've been in that situation.
Haven't we all?
At some point. You're quoted as saying, and I paraphrase here, that as a young girl in the boarding school, you loved the laughter and that your antics and performances made your classmates laugh, and that you enjoyed that aspect of acting. But yet somehow the roles that you play embody and characterize strong, no-nonsense women. But I wonder still if you still enjoy making us laugh, and if at some point we might see you in a full comedy.
In real life, I'm considered incredibly funny, very smart with a quick tongue. But I'll tell you what has happened to me as an actor whose underbelly is an activist. The power of television is one of the most extraordinary things I've ever seen. And the majority of my roles where I complete something is in television. I would say that I've had a fantastic cameo life in film. But I haven't been able to arc a character from beginning to end as I have in television. And in television, you're seen by so many more people. You're in their living rooms, in their bedrooms. You have an intimate world with people. And the power of television is such that prior to all those strong women that you saw, I actually played lots of victims, lots of women who sold their babies for crack, or women whose husbands beat them up. And the reaction on the street of, girl, it's just like that, isn't it? I was like, this is too powerful. And people begin to believe in stories and also believe in the lack of possibility and the lack of hope. And I decided to change that. The easy thing about television is once you've done something well, kind of, we'll call you, oh, we're going to have another victim-y kind of role. Would you do that? She needs to cry on the dime. And after a while, I thought, you just cannot do this with good result. And so that was when in my career I became an actor slash activist, because you could see the power of television. And so you want to move things, tell stories that will move you. And I saw results of this. People would come up to me in the street and go, God, you had such authority. When I saw you, I decided I'm going to have my daughters, really work out, try to get to this school or that school, or I want to be a judge. I was just thinking I would be a clerk. I'm going for the whole hog. And I was blown away. I was blown away with that kind of power of suggestion. And you realize that if you're fed a diet of crap, you create crap.
CCH, how then do you measure your own successes? Is it applause? Is it box office success? Or is it something much more personal?
Well, I'm slightly schizophrenic, because the artist in me wants to be the artist who can do anything. I can play any lawless person, any nasty, low life, high life, authoritative. I want to be able to do all of those things, the artist in me. The activist in me is a great observer. And you can really see the effect that you have. I saw the effect in theater when we would work in the parks and do plays. And a great many of the masses never made a distinction between fiction and reality, because so many of the plays are based in real life, and it reflected a lot of people's lives. So it felt like the real thing. And so you have to stop and decide. And I think it was very empowering for me. Now, of course, I feel like I'm ancient and I should be able to play whatever I like, and I can't get the last dominatrix before the body falls apart completely. They're things that you would like to do.
CCH, you spent your formative years as a young girl in boarding school in England, in Sussex, I believe. But I wonder if you still had an affinity to the UK, to Sussex, whether it's in terms of friends, the culture, perhaps.
All of the above. I'm a Capricorn and by nature incredibly loyal. And therefore, my childhood friends are still around. So Jilly Cook and Ian Catt, who I had breakfast with this morning, and I let everybody know that I'm passing through, and they don't live in London, and they came down from Sussex, up from Sussex, sorry, and to have a glimpse and a quick chat and watch the film. So I'm very proud of the friends that I've made, and also I think one of the reasons that my voice is interesting is because I am this casserole of a Caribbean, British, American sound. And invariably people kind of ear turn, because it's not that it's not American, it's not that it's not British, it's not that it's not Caribbean. So
you're a fantastic amalgam of all the...
I really am. I am so colonial, it's a...
ACUBIEN really is about lifestyle, and indeed a Caribbean lifestyle. But away from the film set and during your time filming in the Caribbean, are there particular features of Caribbean life or lifestyle, the people perhaps, that you would always treasure?
I'm sure this has to do with being from the Caribbean, because I know that you have heard, oh, what are you, Jamaican? You've got like 5 jobs or whatever. And that saying, to me, is every immigrant has 5 jobs. Every immigrant does more than the ones that I know. And because I have an artistic bent, it's not just theater. I love art. I have the only museum of contemporary art in Dakar, Senegal, with my husband, the first privately owned one. I have an art collection. I like to talk about visual art, about emotional art, about temporary happenings. I like all those things. I like you to be well fed. I consider that an art. I like to welcome you and entertain you. I consider that an art. But I think that is a fundamental part of the Caribbean, that we do that. And there's another thing that I like to promote is what I call an emotional art. African people are considered emotional. And for years, it has been considered, a negative thing. Oh, you're so emotional. Why can't you calm down? I think this is a visceral, powerful energy to be emotional. And so when I watch myself sometimes on film with new directors, and they would much rather can you just make it a little smaller, a little more, not too fussy. So my husband's just been stabbed, and I should go an internal or small. No! He's just been stabbed, God damn it! And I want it like that. And I think this is an essential part of an emotion, that an energy and a flash of fire that we all have.
Sits in the spinal cord somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. And sorry to bust the ears of the cameraman, I apologize. But I don't want to give it up for a clean, internal, destructive. The whole point of that flash is that you get the pain out of the way so that you can move on. And I think this is rarely shown in films, and I want to show it. And therefore, emotional art fascinates me as much as the visual, as much. I look at a basket now, and I didn't understand it before, but now I'm saying what he is painting is what I'm feeling. And I'm seeing sort of just different parts of our diaspora expressing themselves, and I'm recognizing it, and it becomes more important, more necessary, and more explained. And I think that's really essential. And so now when I speak with directors who do, what could you, and I said, you know what, I really understand that, but I want the opportunity to do it this way, not because it's the wrong way, but because it's different. And sometimes it's hard for them to accept, and other times they give you a crack at it, and I appreciate that.
Get your way?
Well, the wonderful thing about film is that you can get your way all the time, but you don't necessarily see it as a final result. Yeah.